Here we are, day 15, the service to purpose, the mission is you challenge. It's kind of hard to tell, but there's a beautiful sunset out. I went for I would say a run, but that would be stretching it. It was more like a jog to get that part of myself back in shape. So again, my name is Brooks Holland, and my gift is seeing your greatness that's hidden down inside of you. You know it's there, but I know all the ways that you'll self-sabotage so that you won't see it yourself, so that you'll keep getting the what's the word? Sympathy. The sympathy from living in a victim story and victim mode, as opposed to really stepping into your greatness, because that's terrifying. And I get it, because I'm not that far along with it myself. I've had a lot of success in the past. It's been with teams, or I've been a part of it, or I've been, you know, behind the scenes. But this is about you stepping into your purpose. It's not about serving an identity. You can be great at your job, but your job is not who you are. So, quick recap. Every day we got to decide and we got to take responsibility. The second thing, gallon of water, you can add lemons and you can add cayenne pepper to it. Third thing, you got to eat real food. It's not rocket science. Keep the nutrition clean. It's very simple. 4, move your body at least an hour a day. Get out, walk, jog, sit-ups, push-ups, jumping jacks, jump rope, whatever it is, move your body for at least an hour every day. And finally, if you're doing all this good stuff, you can't be poisoning yourself with cigarettes, alcohol, unprescribed medications, weed, no porn, none of those things. That's just ways to hide. And we're going to touch on this again because it seems to be, it's interesting with these videos. Sometimes I actually get more private messages and emails than I do likes, comments, things like that. But honestly, that's to be expected, because it seems like the single biggest thing that people are terrified of is that E word. That's right, emotion. It's just kind of funny. It's okay, like it's socially acceptable for a bunch of people to be at a table, if they're out to dinner and they start laughing, that's socially acceptable. But if you looked over at dinner, there's a whole table of people crying, there's a whole bunch of, oh my God, what's wrong over there? There's a whole bunch of judgment that comes up. And that's the thing. We don't stuff laughter. Nobody goes to a comedy show and just sits there stone-faced and stuffs the laughter for it to pop off, 30, 40, 50 years later. We get to feel and experience laughter, because it's fine, it's socially acceptable. But what about the other emotions? What about the sadness? What about those things? Even when it's okay to be sad, I've done it. I know a lot of people have done it. Somebody close to you passes away, and it's just like, someone's got to be strong. And, so we put on this appearance of being strong, but in the end, we're just weakening us from the inside. And I just can't stress enough that the freedom is on the other side of actually feeling these emotions. And one of the cool things I got from one of my mentors, David Mailer, is like, emotions are like crayons. Like, they really are. Like, you can pick one up, you can, quote unquote, play with it, which in this case is feel it. You can feel the emotion, and then you can put it away and grab another one. We actually did an exercise, it was a small group exercise where we would go from rage, like snap right into love. And playing with emotions like that, to see that they're really nothing to be afraid of. The bad thing with emotions is, like I've mentioned in the earlier videos, when we stuff them and we avoid feeling them. I know I avoided feeling emotions for a good quarter of a century. Didn't cry, but just all of a sudden this stuff's like starts bubbling up, starts coming out of you. You're doing things you don't know where it came from. It's sad, but I look at some of those shows like the Jerry Springers and I don't know, a couple of those shows, I didn't really watch them, but that was basically their formula. You get adults on stage, put them on in front of a nationwide TV audience, you trigger them, And what do? They basically act out like kids because that's when the original, the original incident happened. That's when the emotional, pain took hold. So what do you have? You have adults acting out like kids, yelling, punching, biting, slapping, screaming, hair pulling, all those types of things. And what happens? Everybody sits at home, a lot of people sit at home and they get to judge the crap out of those people and go, my life's not that, at least my life's not that bad. But deep down, if they were in the same situation, it's probably the same, if not worse. But it was a great formula, got great ratings because, it's great watching people, get triggered and act out, and gives, people this false sense of, that allows them to judge and feel good about themselves. So it's definitely, it's so hard to do this over video but deep down, if you're listening to this, you can feel that stuff inside that you've pushed down for years and probably decades. And, I've been there where, with big bad military guys, it's been 2 to 3 decades since they've actually felt their emotions. I've been there for, tatted up biker dudes, some of the most badass looking guys you've ever seen in your life, were putting on a huge mask and, they had a big identity. But if you really look at it, what was this huge identity of being a badass? It was basically to scare people away, which was in a sense keeping them safe from the one thing that they ultimately really wanted, which is love. But it's just got hurt. So a lot of it go those links. But this is what we're talking about, serving your purpose. So you can be that person, but what's cool is when you get the freedom, because if you enjoy bikes, tattoos, all that stuff, it's great. It's just a matter, as long as that's something that you're doing, as a choice, and you're not doing to hide, that's the key distinction. And it's all the place where you're coming from. That's what this service to purpose is about. So it's not necessarily going to change your actions or anything that you're doing. It's going to change the place that you're doing it from. So if you've been serving others from an empty cup, you don't have to stop serving them. You just get to shift, and you get to serve people, but you get to shift people from a full cup. You get to shift people from the place of having done the work on yourself, and then you can have a much larger impact. So that's really it for right now. I can't stress enough the element of actually feeling your emotions as opposed to stuffing them. Nothing good comes from that, especially the longer they've been stuffed. It's going to start showing up in all areas of your life. And if you really look at it, it probably has. The things that we avoid the most, like they keep showing up in life. Whether, you say the universe or God or Buddha or Yoda or whatever it is, it's really irrelevant. But, it's going to keep coming back around for you until you grasp the lesson. So the easiest thing to do is face it, feel it, sit with it, and there's freedom on the other side. So thank you very much for tuning in. Leave a comment, share this with somebody that you think would find benefit from it, and I will see you tomorrow on day 16.